My name is Wendy Ford from Cash Life Mastery, where we're helping entrepreneurs find their way into profit by bootstrapping their business. And today you're on Cash Life Mastery Social Juice, where we were talking about Twitter polls and Twitter cards. Do they work? And my illustrious co-host, Mr. Keith Keller, the Aussie man himself, Lady Killer Keller, guys, is in the house to help us talk about Twitter today. So Keith, tell everybody how they can reach you.
Yeah, so we're doing this series of blabs every Monday night at 7 p.m. as a little bit of a teaser as to how Twitter works. If you want to know more about that, and I can see that my image there is flickering. That's gonna make such an awesome GIF. Bit of a Max Headroom moment there. But you can follow me at Keith Keller, KeithKellerer, or keithkeller.com.au, and don't forget the AU because I'm in Australia. And I've got a completely free ebook, and I'd really like you to go and download that because it is completely free, and it's a bit of a sort of a summation of what we talk about here if you want to just do that in your own time. But these blabs are all a bit of fun and a little bit interactive. We'll talk for about 15 and 20 minutes, and then we'll do the after show party. Michael's in the room, Antoine's there. Hello, Thomas. I'm not sure we've chatted before, but I'm very welcome to have you in the after show party after we have a bit of a chat about Twitter polls and Twitter cards.
So let's get started. I think basically what I want to talk about first is Twitter polls. I know that a lot of people are using them on Twitter, and what I find is that they're using them probably in ways that aren't necessarily beneficial to their business. Because there's really two types of ways to use Twitter polls, and Keith can kind of add to this if he uses them any other way. You know, there's using a Twitter poll to collect information for your business and for what you're doing. You know, you want to get client information, but then there's also collecting information that are pain points of your customers. And what I like to do is try to use them for collecting information for your customers. And I do this on other social platforms too. They don't necessarily have to have polls, but you can ask the right types of questions and get, I think, a lot better response because people are going to respond to things that are solving a problem or an issue for them. I like to do things like ask, you know, what's your biggest challenge in creating your new business online? And then, you know, in a poll, it might be, you know, A, is it money? B, is it time? You know, that's just for an example versus saying, you know, what type of equipment do you use in your business? That would be collecting information for you. The pain point part would be collecting information that causes your clients struggles. So, Keith, how are you using Twitter polls?
Yeah, what you've just said there is brilliant. The pain point idea, and I've just tweeted that out, the pain point idea is actually one of the fundamental strategies of online marketing. But what I love about Twitter polls, and I'll show you exactly how I've used them because I've done 6 this week as an experiment. So I said, okay, I'm going to create some more content for you. What would you prefer? Would you prefer that I make videos? Would you prefer that I make podcasts? Would you prefer that I blog? And would you prefer a transcript? Because remember, in Twitter polls, and just in case you don't know how they work, you can have up to 4 questions, and it can be up to 7 days.
Oh, so wow, I didn't know how long
they're now extendable out to 7 days, which means you can start it on a Friday and have your weekends off and come back Monday and still keep working.
That's perfect.
Because I'm very big on Twitter, you know, work-life balance. So here's exactly how I use them. Do you want to use video? Do you want to use podcasts? Do you want to blog? Or do you want me to get the transcript of my interviews? Because I'm interviewed all the time. Would that be valuable to you? Because, you know, that's going to cost me some money, but I don't mind doing it if people get value. And it's a matter of where to spend your money and where to spend your time. So after a while, after about 2 days, this is actually really interesting. After about 2 days, podcasts started to surge ahead. Podcasts started to make a really strong leap ahead. So what I did was I did a subsequent poll to say, okay, if you're really into podcasts, would you prefer that I put them on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, or something else? And in that regard, iTunes was the very, very, very clear winner. Of the people that said that, very clear. Of the people that said that they wanted podcasts, very clear. 40% of people said, look, if I'm going to listen to a podcast, I usually listen to it on iTunes. About 34%, I think, said they want to listen to it on SoundCloud. No one mentioned Stitcher, in spite of the fact that people are pumping it up. And other people said, you know what, I just listen to it on my media player or something else at home. You know, but iTunes was the far and away clear winner. Now, why that's interesting to me is that if we're gonna move forward with a paid podcast strategy, then we need to factor iTunes into that, because that's what people are telling me. Right?
So basically, Twitter polls are basically a way to form a business strategy. So if you have these kind of questions and you need to know where to spend your money, or you need to know where to spend your time, Twitter polls are a good way to help get your clients to answer those questions that will benefit your business.
Yeah, and what I did, and I drilled down, I don't want you to do one poll, I want you to do several over, because they run a week, you can do several over the course of a month. So what I started today was, okay, you've told me you love podcasts. If you do, how often do you listen to them? All the time? Sometimes, never. And I had this really cute question, what is a podcast? Because that's actually the most common question that I get.
Yeah.
So about 46% of people said, mate, I actually listen to them all the time. If you're going to do a podcast, I'd listen to it. So now I'm getting intel to say, actually, this is worth my time. I'm busy. We're all busy. I work 10 hours a day, but I'm not Superman. I can't make videos and blogs and transcripts and podcasts all in the same day. It's only one of me. So about 40% of people, around about are saying, look, if you've got a podcast, I would listen to that. And if you're going to do a podcast, I prefer it to be on iTunes. So now my intel is starting to become really strong around the idea that if I'm going to do podcasts, I've got to put them on iTunes and SoundCloud. I can probably leave Stitcher alone because no one's using it.
Right.
The other thing that was fascinating because you run it over a week. After about 3 or 4 days, video went on a bit of a sort of streak. It's leaping ahead. 58% now. People are saying, look, I know that early on a couple of people said podcast, but that's not what I like. I love videos. I love them. If you can do some videos, I'd watch them. All right. Okay. Now that's fine. Now that you've said you've loved videos, what type of videos? So I did this Twitter poll, separate Twitter poll. You've said you've loved Twitter poll. You love videos. Where do you watch them? Do you watch them on YouTube? Do you want how-to videos? Do you want live streaming videos? And then my cutesy question, I don't like videos, right? Which no one has actually no. 15% of people have actually said that. I don't like videos. So that's handy. That's handy to know. A very low percentage of people said, look, I don't watch videos. Don't make them for me. But huge percentage of people are saying, I want how-to videos. I want little cutesy videos that tell me how to do things. This is incredibly valuable information. Valuable. Yeah. And then what I did was separate to that, I said, okay, live streaming video is starting to play a really major role. Are you getting that? Are you doing that? And if you're doing it, which ones do you love? About 58% of people say, mate, Blab, I'm thumping it on Blab. I love it.
And I have a question. I have a question for you. I think this would be a really good next Twitter poll. How many people consider like Periscope, Blab, YouTube live streaming as a podcast? Because you literally can log on, and even though there is video involved, you can just kind of sit your phone around and listen to that. You don't necessarily have to watch it.
How many people use live streaming as a podcast? Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good poll, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. As your intel develops and it gets deeper, you actually start. And here's one I want to share. This is really, really funny. Only about 22% of people said that they read blogs, which is really important because they're hard to do and you've got to write them. And if you love writing, well, that's easy. If you don't like writing, then it's torture. I'd rather mow the lawn or do my tax. You know, and so if people are reading blogs, fine, I'll do them for them. But if they're not, then it's a waste of time, isn't it? It's just a waste of time.
Yep.
So I asked the question, A, do you read blogs? You know, 2, how often do you read them? And the way I phrased that, remember, you've got 4 questions. I read them all the time, never, sometimes, and then I wrote, what is a blog? Right?
Yeah.
Really almost being facetious. But 34% of people answered the question, what is a blog? Now,
yeah,
that
I
gives
wonder
me
how
intel
many
about
of those people were being funny and wonder how many people really didn't know. But would you find it beneficial to run these same polls maybe several times a month and then calculate the information cumulatively just to see?
Yeah, I think you would. I think if you're going to develop a strategy around Twitter polls, I mean, they're a little bit time consuming, but the important thing to remember, here's the very, very important premise. And we've started with Twitter polls because it's part of the Twitter ads, department. Yeah.
Right.
You can actually boost your polls for a fee, right? So Twitter's now starting to advertise or introduce this idea of advertising. But Twitter polls are at this stage free. Completely free. Hello, Karen. Completely free at this stage, and you can boost them later. So, but they are time consuming. They last a week, and you can have 4 questions. So, as you develop a very mature Twitter poll strategy, you are right. You'd probably want to ask the questions in multiple different ways over multiple, time periods, so that you can get a very, very robust understanding that if we're going to do live streaming, Blab is thumping it 58%. Surprisingly, very, very few people mention that they're using Facebook Live. Very few.
Yeah.
Very few.
I just don't see that.
Well, it's new and you can't use it on Android and it's not available in Australia, and it's very, very frustrating. But only 28%, I think, said Periscope was working for them, and I thought that was a surprise. But so you'd probably want to run a series of polls around that.
Right.
This is a completely different use of what you've said. You've asked a question. What are you struggling with? Do you need help with your internet marketing? Do you need help with video marketing? That helps you devise a product around that. I'm doing it in the back way, the other way.
Right. You're strategically using the polls to help answer questions for your business model, where I would strategically use the questions to help my clients solve a problem, because if I know what my client's problem is, then I know how to address them and actually have them come to me for that help. So it's kind of the same thing. You're still doing it to use it to build your business, but it's just a different model of how to use it. And they're both wonderful. You should actually be doing both. Have those.
Look, I love them. And just in case you want to have a go and you've never done it before, it's so simple. When you go into your Twitter account, imagine you go up to your top right-hand corner and you push tweet and you come up with a box that says, fill in the tweet. What do you want to say? So you just ask a question. Do you love videos? If so, which ones? Then just immediately below the box, there's a little pie graph. I'm so disappointed we can't share screens here. There's a pie graph, little pie graph. And you click on the pie graph and that's your Twitter poll, right? It's so easy. And then you get 2 default choices and you click more to get 4, and you click one day is the default, but you can click to get 7. It takes about a minute.
Yeah.
It just takes 1 minute.
What do you think about pinning them to the top of your?
I do. That's what I do. I pin them. Yeah. So pinning itself is a fantastic Twitter feature, which allows you to focus on what's doing. So, we've chatted there for about 17 or 18 minutes. I want to talk a little bit about Twitter cards and Twitter ads because, a lot of people are asking me about those. I'm not as excited about that feature as maybe other people are. But what are your thoughts on Twitter polls as a wrap-up? And then we'll talk briefly about Twitter cards. Then you can rush off and I'll take care of the after-show party.
Well, I think basically for me, Twitter polls are going to be like a really pivotal way to, like you say, find out the strategic answers of how I need to run my business, but then also get the pain points for my clients. So I think if you're doing both, throughout the month, and you want to make sure that you run those questions several times, maybe over the course of a quarter, before you make a decision. Because you might get 1 week answers one way, the next week answers the other way, and you really need to get, a good, amount of questions answered to get a good number to make a decision before you make changes in your business. But I think that they're awesome, especially, because they're free. I mean, it's another free tool that we can use to help us really make good money decisions.
Yeah, it's an incredibly useful tool. And as I said, this is really, really interesting. Twitter polls can be boosted. And people have often asked me about Twitter polls and how they compare to Facebook ads and Facebook strategies. Facebook, I believe, from what I've been told, because I haven't done either, is much cheaper per acquisition. I'll give you a really cool example. So if I wanted to boost my Twitter poll, for $15, I can reach 27 people. It's hardly worth the effort, is it? For 50 cents each. And they said they're actually on the Twitter poll. It's amazing. You try one. It says $3,400 to reach 6,400 people. I mean, it's not a very good use of money, I don't believe. But anyway, that's the cost of Twitter ads. So what were people are saying there, and there's lots and lots of different types of Twitter ads, and they do work, but the cost of acquisition is higher than some other platforms. And I'll give you a really clear example of that. A person that I know spent $1,000 on Facebook ads to build up his Facebook business page, and for that $1,000 he got 5,000 followers, 20 cents per acquisition.
Right.
Not a bad ratio, given that that's a business decision. He spent $1,000 and he had 5,000 targeted leads that may eventually buy his product at 20 cents a piece.
It's very good.
If they have done, I would think that's a very good use of money.
Yes.
So when you talk about Twitter ads, and Twitter cards are one of those, there's also different types, targeted trends. You can actually, if you've ever seen the Twitter trends, you've often seen the top one targeted. You can pay for that. You can pay to boost your profile so that you get more followers, and you can boost your posts if you're doing a gig, or you're selling a book, or you're speaking in the city, or you want to, So all of these things come at a cost. The thing that's very, very interesting there is you have to give your credit card, obviously, because Twitter wants to take your money. So I won't spend too much time on Twitter polls, on Twitter cards and Twitter ads, because a couple of things. One is they're a little bit expensive for the value proposition, I think. I'm very, very happy.
That.
I'm personally not that excited about it. I would be very happy to chat to people about it separately at Keith Keller or keith@globalsocialmediacoaching.com if you want to email me, because I know stacks about it, but I'm not that excited. And I actually think the better value proposition is to try some Twitter polls. They're completely free, but they get you into the Twitter ads universe, but you don't have to spend any money, or more importantly, give your credit card. And then if you like that vibe and you're already in the Facebook ads headspace, well, you can try Twitter ads as an experiment. But Facebook ads, from my understanding, are working much better as a value proposition, cost per acquisition.
Right.
When you're talking about ads, that's all you're talking about there, aren't you? You're talking about the cost per acquisition.
Yeah, but try to run a poll on Facebook. Like, just, they don't really have polls, but ask a question in a poll type manner. And, you just don't know, because you never know how many people Facebook's going to allow to see your post.
Yeah. So it's not ideal, but you've got to run. So you wrap up.
Okay. All right. So
your detail.
All right, guys, you are on Cash Life Mastery Social Juice, and tonight we've been talking about Twitter cards and Twitter polls, and do they work? So Keith, tell everybody how they can reach you.
So it's at Keith Keller, KeithKeller. And I really want you to download my ebook, because it is completely free, and I'm very proud of that. The way I do that is you get a free ebook on day one, and then 12 emails once a week for 12 weeks. I use Aweber for this. It's my email marketing strategy. It's completely non-spammy, and that is keithkeller.com.au. It's a lovely 10-page or 10-part, 10-chapter ebook. and a 12-part email series, which is just a way of introducing you to what I'm doing. If you need to know more, well, I'm here in Melbourne, Australia, and I coach all day, every day, all the sorts of cool people all over the world.
Awesome, guys. So make sure you go and grab that book, and Keith, make sure you put it in the link for everybody. So guys, like I said, you're on Cash Life Mastery Social Juice. My name is Wendy Ford, where we're helping entrepreneurs into profit by bootstrapping their business. If you want to reach me, you can reach me right now at Cash Life Mastery on Facebook. I respond to messages usually within 24 hours, so just leave me a message. Anything I can do to help you, I'll be glad to. So guys, make sure that you come back next Monday night for more Twitter information, and also join Cash Life Mastery on Thursday for a blab about blogging. That's 1:30 Eastern for that, 7 p.m. Eastern for our Twitter blab.